Hello guys, hope you are all fine. Our today's novel is Normal People by Sally Rooney, the author of Conversation with Friends. So if you want to listen, then we can start this novel. Otherwise, if you read the novel, then turn off the volume of your video. So let's start the novel. January 2011. Marini answers the door when Connell rings the bell. She is still wearing her school uniform, but she has taken off the sweater, so it's just the blouse and skirt, and she has no shoes on, only tights. Oh, hey, he says, come on in. She turns and walks down the hall. He follows her, closing the door behind him. Down a few steps in the kitchen, his mother, Lorne, is peeling off a pair of rubber gloves. Marine hops onto the countertop and picks up an open jar of chocolate spread in which she has left a teaspoon. Marine was telling me you got your mock result today, Lorne says. We got English back, he says. They come back separately. Do you want to head on? Lauren folds the rubber gloves up neatly and replaces them below the sink. Then she starts unclipping her hair. To Connell, this seems like something she should accomplish in the car. And I hear you did very well, she says. He was top of the class, says Marine. Right, Connell says. Marine did pretty good too. Can we go? Lauren pauses in the untying of her apron. I didn't realize we were in rush, she says. He puts his hands in his pockets and suppresses an irritable sigh, but suppresses it with an audible intake of breath so that it still sounds like a sigh. I just have to pop up and take a load out of the dryer, says Lauren, and then we will be off, okay? He says nothing, merely hanging his head while Lauren leaves the room. Do you want some of this? Melanie says. She is holding out the jar of chocolate spread. He presses his hands down slightly further into his pocket as if trying to store his entire body in his pocket all at once. No, thanks, he says. Did you get your French results today? Yesterday? He puts his back against the fridge and watches her lick the spoon. In school, he and Marine affect not to know each other. People know that Marine lives in the white mansion with the driveway and that Connell's mother is a cleaner. But no one knows of the special relationship between these facts. I got an A1, he says. What did you get in German? An A1, she says. Are you bragging? You are going to get 600, are you? She shrugs. You probably will, she says. Well, you are smarter than me. Don't feel bad. I am smarter than everyone. Marin is grinning now. She exercises an open contempt for people in school. She has no friends and spends her lunchtime alone reading novels. A lot of people really hate her. Her father died when she was 13, and Connell has heard she has a mental illness now or something. It's true she is the smartest person in school. He dreads being left alone with her like this, but he also finds himself fantasizing about things he could say to impress her. You are not top of the class in English, he points out. She licks her teeth, unconcerned. Maybe you should give me grins, Connell, she says. He feels his ears got hot. She is probably just being glib and not suggestive. But if she is being suggestive, it's only to degrade him by association. Since she is considered an object of disgust, she wears ugly, thick soled flat shoes and doesn't put makeup on her face. People have said she doesn't has shave her legs or anything. Connell once heard that she spilled chocolate ice cream on himself in the school lunchroom, and she went to the girls' bathroom and took her blouse off to wash it in the sink. That's a popular story about her. Everyone has heard it. If she wanted, she could make a big show of saying hello to Connell in school. See you this afternoon, she could say in front of everyone. Undoubtedly, it would put him in an awkward position, which is the kind of thing she usually seems to enjoy, but she has never done it. What were you talking to Miss Neri about today? Says Marini. Oh, nothing, I don't know. Exams? Marini twists the spoon around inside the jar. Does he fancy you or something? Marini says. Connell watches her moving the spoon. His ear still feels very hot. Why do you say that? He says. God, you're not having an affair with her, are you? Obviously not. Do you think it's funny joking about that? Sorry, says Marini. She has a focused expression like she is looking through his eyes into the back of his head. You're right, it's not funny. She says, I am sorry. He nods, looks around the room for a bit, digs the toe of his shoe into a groove between the tiles. Sometimes I feel like she does act kind of weird around me, he says, but I wouldn't say that to people or anything. Even in class, I think she is very flirtatious towards you. Do you really think that? Marini nods. He rubs at his neck. Miss Neri teaches economics. His spouse feelings for her are widely discussed in school. Some people are even saying that he tried to add her on Facebook, which he didn't and would never do. Actually, he doesn't do or say anything to her. He just sits there quietly while she does and says things to him. She keeps him back after class sometimes to talk about his life direction, and once he actually touched the knot of his school tie. He can't tell people about the way she acts because they will think she is trying to brag about it. In class, he feels too embarrassed and annoyed to concentrate on the lesson. He just sits there staring at the textbook until the bar graphs starts to blur. People are always going on at me that I fancy her or whatever, he says, but I actually don't at all. I mean, you don't think I am playing into it when she acts like that, do you? Not that I have seen. He wipes his palm down on his school shirt unthinkingly. Everyone is so convinced of his attraction to Miss Neri that sometimes he starts to doubt his own instincts about it. What if, at some level above or below his own perception, he does actually desire her? He doesn't even really know what desire is supposed to feel like. Anytime he has had sex in real life, he has found it so stressful, to be largely unpleasant, leading him to suspect that there is something wrong with him, that he is unable to be intimate with women, that he is somehow developmentally impaired. He lies there afterwards and thinks, I hated that so much that I feel sick. Is that just the way he is? Is the nausea he feels when Miss Neri leans over his desk actually his way of experiencing a sexual thrill? How would he know? I could go to Mr. Lyons for you if you want, says Marini. I won't say you told me anything. I will just say I noticed it myself. Jesus, no, definitely not. Don't say anything about it to anyone, okay? Okay, alright. He looks at her to confirm she is being serious
Don't
and
say
then
anything
nods.
about it to
It's not
anyone,
your
okay?
fault. She acts
Okay,
like
alright.
that with
He
you,
looks at
Mrs.
her to
Maroney. You're
confirm
not
she
doing
is
anything
being
wrong.
serious and then nods.
Quietly he
It's not
says,
your fault. She
why
acts
does
like
everyone
that
else think I
with you.
fancy her then?
Says
Maybe
Marini, you are
because you
not
blush
doing
a lot
anything
when
wrong.
she talks
Quietly
to
he
you.
says, why does
But you know
everyone
you
else
blush
think
at
I fancy her
everything.
then?
You should have
Maybe
that
because
complexion.
blush
He gives a
he blush a
short,
lot when he
unhappy laugh.
talks. She
Thanks, he
talks to
says.
you, but you know
Well,
you blush
you
at
do.
everything.
Yeah,
You just
I am
have
weird.
that complexion.
You're blushing now,
He gives a
actually,
short,
says
unhappy
Marini.
laugh.
He
Thanks,
closes
he
his
says.
eyes,
Well, you do.
pushes his tongue
Yeah,
against the roof of his mouth.
I'm
He
aware.
can hear
You're
Marini
blushing
laughing.
now, actually, she
Why do
says
you have to
Marini.
be
He
so harsh
closes
on
his
people?
eyes,
He
pushes
says.
his tongue against the
I'm
roof
not
of
being
his
harsh.
mouth.
I don't care
He
if
can
you are
hear Marini
blushing.
laughing.
I won't
Why
tell
do you
anyone.
have to be
Just
so
because you
harsh on
won't tell
people?
people
He
doesn't
says,
mean you can
I'm
say
not being harsh. I
whatever
don't
you
care
want.
if you are blushing. I won't tell
Okay, she
anyone. Just
says
because
sorry.
you won't tell
He
people
turns
doesn't
and looks
mean you
out the
can.
window at the garden. Really, the garden is more like grounds. It includes a tennis court and a large stone statue in the shape of a woman. He looks out at the grounds and moves his face close to the cool breath of the grass when people tell the story about Marini.
washing her blouse in the sink. They act like it's just funny, but Connell thinks the real purpose of the story is something else. Marianne has never been with anyone in school. No one has ever seen her undress. No one even knows if she likes boys or girls. She won't tell anyone. People resent that about her, and Connell thinks that's why they tell the story as a way of gawking at, or at something they are not allowed to see. I don't want to get into a fight with you, she says. We are not fighting. I know you probably hate me, but you are the only person who actually talks to me. I never said I hated you, he says. That gets her attention and she looks up confused. Continues looking away from her, but in the corner of his eye he still sees her watching. When he talks to Marini, he has a sense of total privacy between them. He could tell her anything about himself, even weird things, and she would never repeat them. He knows that. Being alone with her is like opening a door away from normal life, and then being alone with her is really opening a door away from normal life and then closing it behind him. He is not frightened of her. Actually, she is a pretty relaxed person, but he fears being around her because of the confusing way he finds himself behaving. Nothing he says that he would never ordinarily says. A few weeks ago, when he was waiting for Lorraine in the hall, Marini came downstairs in a bathrobe. It was just a plain white bathrobe, tied in the normal way. Her hair was wet and her skin had that glistening look like she had just been applying face cream. When she saw Connell, she hesitated on the stairs and said, I didn't know you were here. Sorry. Maybe she seemed flustered, but not really badly or anything. Then she went back up to her room. After she left, he stood there in the hall waiting. He knew she was probably getting dressed in her room, and whatever clothes she was wearing when she came back down would be the clothes she had chosen to put on after she saw him in the hall. Anyway, Lauren was ready to go before Melanie appeared, so he never did get to see what clothes she had put on. It wasn't like he deeply cared to know. He certainly didn't tell anyone in school about it, that he had seen her in a bathrobe or that she looked flustered. It wasn't anyone's business to know. Well, I like you, Marini says. For a few seconds, he says nothing, and the intensity of the privacy between them is very severe, pressing in on him with an almost physical pressure on his face and body. Then Lauren comes back into the kitchen.